Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Seeking Clear podcast. In today's episode, I am interviewing the one and only online super coach, AJ Mihrzad. Now, AJ was one of my first business mentors. I've known him for 2 years now, I think. Yeah, and he's a phenomenal guy. He has an incredible story. He's been through a lot, and we actually dove into a lot of his personal life in this interview. We talked about some of the things that were difficult for him to go through in his past, a little bit about his journey and how he got to where he is now. And we talk about his business, and we talk about some strategies, some trends we're seeing in the online marketplace, funnels, sales, things of that nature. So there's a lot of really good personal inspiration in this episode, a lot of wisdom that pertains to mindset and perseverance. And there's a lot of technical, strategic information in this episode that is going to be really useful to those of you who run online businesses as well. So it's a really great, well-rounded episode. AJ is a fantastic person. I will have all of his links down in the description, so be sure to check out his podcast, check out his channel. He has great content, and his network is phenomenal. He's a wonderful person to know. As always, if you enjoy this episode, if you enjoy the podcast, please support the podcast and support the channel by subscribing on YouTube at Andrew Wuellner. If you're listening, you can watch all the interviews on YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, you can listen on all the major platforms. All the episodes will be up there wherever podcasts can be found for you to enjoy. And furthermore, if you want to learn more about me and see if you're a good fit for one of my coaching programs or courses, you can check those out at andrewwuellner.com. And you can also check out some other ways to support the channel, such as affiliate offers and promotions for some wonderful services and products that I personally use, such as ClickFunnels, which I provide some really, really awesome bonuses that you can only get if you sign up using my link. You can find all of those promotions and offers at andrewwuellner.com/resources. That's andrewwuellner.com/resources to see how you can support the channel beyond subscribing, sharing, commenting, and liking. But anyways, we'll get to the episode. I love all of you. Thank you so much for watching, and please enjoy this interview with my friend AJ Mihrzad. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Seeking Clear podcast. Today's guest is an old friend of mine and one of my own very first business mentors. He has written 2 best-selling books, Master Your Inner Game and The Mind-Body Solution, Train Your Brain for Permanent Weight Loss. He has a master's degree in psychology and reflects his fascination with mindset in all of his work, which focuses heavily on positive thought and focused action-taking. He's been inducted into the Personal Trainer Hall of Fame, has been featured in Entrepreneur Magazine, The Huffington Post, Men's Fitness, Thrive Global, and on bodybuilding.com. He hosts his very own podcast, the Online Supercoach podcast, and has a thriving business coaching program by the same name. My guest today is an incredible person with a fascinating story, a huge heart, and a lot of experience that I am so excited to dive into today. Everyone, I bring you AJ Mihrzad. Thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Andrew, thanks for having me. Honored to be here. So great to see you. I'm pumped.
Yeah, we were just talking before we started recording. The last time I saw AJ was in October of 2018 at his seminar in New York City. And we were just saying how amazing that time goes by so fast. And I met all these amazing people at the event. And I feel like I've known most of them my whole life. But the truth is, I've only been in online coaching for about 3 years. And it's just incredible when you know amazing people and you make these connections and you learn so much. Time just flies by, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And I must say, I'm just super proud of you for your growth and your success. I remember when you were first starting out and your enthusiasm.
Yeah.
And it was beautiful to see just your growth. And you just like took off like a bat out of hell. And now 3 years later, you're doing big things, have your own podcast, shifted your business around. So it's super proud to see you just thriving so good.
Yeah. It really opens up a lot of doors when you meet people who are where you want to be, doing things and trying things that you want to do and try, and you learn from their experience. It really just, it changes you. And I'm just so glad I know all these people. I'm so excited to have you on the show. So why don't we start this episode off and have you tell us a little bit about yourself, what you're doing in the business world, and any projects that you're working on right now.
Yeah, absolutely, Andrew. So backstory, I started off as a personal trainer. I did that for about a decade. And then once my business grew to the point where I had back-to-back clients, I was tired of trading hours for dollars and being stuck inside of a gym. Never took any vacations, never got to spend time with my friends and family. And if you're a personal trainer, you know how it is where you're in the business, but when you're working on the business, that's where it really grows. Mm-hmm. So within that time frame, I started to play around with different things in my business, and I started doing group training and learning marketing. And then I came across a mentor in 2009. His name is Chris McCombs, and he was like an online fitness guru. He was just like a marketing mastermind, and it was my first major expense. It was about $5,000 to pay for his coaching, and I was scared out of my mind. But that investment changed my life because he taught me how to market myself online and take my in-person fitness businesses and develop an online coaching program. And very quickly, a matter of weeks, I made my money back and I saw the power of coaching. And then from there, I just started hiring different mentors, coaches, joined masterminds, started spending more money reinvesting in myself, and I started getting an ROI. And within some time, my online fitness business took off. And then within the industry, I was getting approached by different personal trainers and coaches to coach them to build their online business. Then I quickly realized within doing this that this is a huge opportunity that I must take advantage of. And then around 2013, I started working on a webinar. And back then, a lot of people weren't doing webinars. So I created a webinar to teach people how to build an online fitness business. And that thing took off. They were just like the right place at the right time at the right offer. And within a year's time, it brought in about $1 million worth of revenue. And it was literally the easiest million ever made. I mean, the only million ever made, you know? Uh-huh. And from there, I said, wow, this online coaching, this online marketing is something I got to go deeper into. And then from there, I just started growing the business, started doing seminars, writing books, hosting podcasts, and just helping more and more people build their online coaching business.
Mm-hmm. That's a perfect segue. I'm actually going to skip a few questions and come back to them because you led right into this one. Right now, I think what we're seeing in the online marketplace is what I call like the democratization of information, because now anyone, pretty much anyone, can go online. They can start a business about virtually anything, and they can find resources, free and paid. Like they can go YouTube, they can Google, they can hire coaches, buy courses. Anyone can do it. So in this space, we're seeing a huge influx of people. A lot of money's coming in, a lot more people are coming in, the competition's growing. Are there any big trends that you're seeing right now that you think might play a bigger role in 2020, 2021, maybe even the next decade? Because I know, like you said, webinars were really great back then. Now they're still effective, but they're kind of tough. So what are some trends that you're seeing in the online space right now?
That's a great question, Andrew. And, being online for close to a decade, I've seen a lot of people come and go, and trends go up. Trends go down. And I feel that the biggest shift that we're going into is what I call the transformation age. So the internet was really popping around 95, 96. And I would say from that point until now is like information age, right? So anyone could create information, and it was very easy to sell information online. But now we're really drowning in information. We have so much great stuff out there. YouTube, Wikipedia, Google. I mean, essentially, if someone wants to get a result, they could find their information for free, but the implementation is very low. So now we get paid for the implementation and not the information. Mm-hmm. So what I'm finding in terms of marketing, what is working better is the intimacy. So what I mean by that is when I was first creating Facebook ads, in 2012, that's when I first started. We would set up a Facebook ad that was a simple application. So we could run this application for $1. We're getting phone call applications. I was getting 20, 30 applications a day. I was just calling people up like, holy cow, this is so easy, And then over time, there's a theory and a great book called Breakthrough Advertising. It's called Market Sophistication. Mm-hmm. So the market becomes sophisticated where you can't just put up a Facebook ad to a application. Then webinars came. Then everyone and the mother started doing webinars. And the marketplace knew that this webinar is not really going to give me a lot of value. It's going to sell me something. So many things that worked in the past, even funnels to an extent, stopped working. Mm-hmm. But what I found is having a connection with your audience, putting out high value content, giving them results in advance without paying you, in a way, connecting through the messages, just in-person events. That's one of my favorite things to do. The intimacy and the transformative type of marketing is far better than in like an automated funnel that used to work in the past.
I absolutely love every single word you just said. The first thing I want to point out is the saturation of information. It's so real, because look at my bookshelf. Like I read all these books. I'm constantly watching stuff on YouTube. I'm always learning. And I'll tell you right now, sometimes learning hurts you. Like when you take in too much information, then you have to spend time sorting through that information and figuring out what to apply. And then if you don't know every single little detail and you don't know the steps, sometimes you're going to go look for more information. It just makes it worse. So like really hiring a coach or buying a course or getting some kind of process, that is the key to taking action on the information that you have and actually getting the results that you want. So like that's so, so important. And the second thing you said, the intimacy. I love that. Can you tell us a little bit more about how you establish like trust and how you really build those relationships with people?
Absolutely. So the biggest thing is that, as I mentioned before, you could put out a landing page or an application and get sales. The marketplace has gotten very savvy. Even before my time, I knew friends who would run Google AdWords. They had a, simple email database. They would just mail their email list, and after a few lines of text, people would buy like crazy because the market was not that sophisticated. Mm-hmm. Nowadays, people are a lot more skeptical. There's a lot more competition. The people have been screwed over. So they are at a very low trust point. So what I'm coming to find is that the people that focus more on developing a relationship or adding a ton of value before getting paid, they do a lot better. And one thing I do even with my students is we focus a lot more on the warm-up process. So what's a warm-up? Let's say lead comes to you on a scale of 1 to 10. They're 1 or 2. Who the hell is Andrew? Why should I work with him? Mm-hmm. 10 is, here's my money. I want to invest in you. I see the value in you. So there's a lot of different ways that you could build up the intimacy and the trust and gain your credibility before asking for the sale. So one great example is through organic marketing. It's putting out really high value content. Like, you're doing this great podcast, so people are getting value for free. And let's say they want to reach out to you. So instead of saying, here's my course or here's my coaching program, you involve them in a direct message. You get them to know, like you, and trust you. And at a certain point, you add so much value to them that they say, Andrew, wow, you're adding so much value to me. I've not paid you a penny. I really want you to work with me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I like that. I think that's going to be the big struggle of the next decade for a lot of marketers and entrepreneurs, is figuring out how they can inject as much of their humanity as possible into their marketing funnels. And there's different ways to do that, but I think the key to doing that is unlock your authenticity, right? Figure out who you are, what kind of business you want to have, and how you can give that to people on a platter and be there for them, right? Because automation's great, but if you go too far with the automation, you lose that human touch, and you're going to start losing people, especially today. So that's very valuable. So you always talk about superpowers. Like that's your thing. Every time I've ever been to your event, I've been to your program, it's always superpowers. So tell my audience what superpowers are, please.
Absolutely. So I joined this mastermind a few years after I hired Chris McCombs. And it was the biggest mastermind I've ever been involved in. It's called the 25K group, the Genius Network. And why it's called the 25K group is because you have to pay $25,000 to be a part of it. So it was a bunch of heavy hitters, and the starting place was $1 million in revenue, but they had people in there that were earning hundreds of millions, a few billionaires. And early on, I was exposed to these amazing, powerful people. And I found that the wealthier the person was, the nicer they were, the more humble they were, and the more giving they were. They were just giving so much of their life to charity and contribution. And I looked at all of these people and I said, all right, every person in this group is pretty much the best in their industry. Mm-hmm. So what is the common theme here? And then I thought about it like, wow, like everyone has like a superpower, right? Every one of them has a specific genius that they operate in a flow state. So your superpower is an activity that fills you with energy and creativity all day long. So when you're operating in a superpower, you're gaining energy as the day goes on, as opposed to losing energy. Mm-hmm. And one thing I found in this group, and what I learned greatly, is that if you spend more of your time in your superpower and then you outsource, eliminate, and delegate the things that make you tired to people that have their own superpowers, then you grow a lot faster. So once I joined that group, I started to actually create a not do list. And one of the first meetings, I went back home and I had a list of all the things I need not to do. These are things where it was a customer service stuff or billing or editing videos. You know, they were very, very time consuming, but they had very little value of my time, energy, and money. And once I started outsourcing those and spending more time in the things that put me in a flow state, which is speaking, doing podcasts, essentially performing and publishing. Those are my superpowers, right? So if I'm hosting a mastermind like I'm doing this weekend, delivering the coaching, going on a podcast, publishing a book, publishing a course, content, then I'm on my superpower. But everything outside of that, I started to eliminate, delegate, or outsource. And if you look at all the greats, Tony Robbins or an Oprah Winfrey, they're fully operating in the superpower, right? Tony Robbins speaks at a UPW. I've been to one of them. He has 12,000 people coming in. So he just shows up for 2 days, delivers from his heart in a flow state, but he's not selling the tickets. He's not marketing the event. He's not working on the lighting or taking out the garbage. You know, it's a really well-oiled machine, but he's operating in a superpower in that example.
Exactly. Yeah. Outsourcing the stuff that slows you down and drains your energy. That's powerful advice. And I think a lot of new entrepreneurs, they tend to struggle with that, especially towards the beginning, because a lot of us come in. I know that I certainly came into the entrepreneur space with a scarcity mindset.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't have money to outsource. I don't have money to build these systems. You know, like I'll just do everything myself. And you just spin tires. Like you're just going to spin your tires forever. So I think a big part of what your coaching program did for me was it gave me clarity about the things that I could do and the things that I could actually do really well. In fact, I remember filming my very first YouTube video. I was in your program. It was the vulnerability video. And I filmed it at Lake Medina at like 6 a.m. on a Monday. I felt so empowered after posting that. And I was like, I need to be speaking. I need to be making videos. I need to be creating this content. And over time, you know, you kind of discover like, all right, so the funnels, the customer service, the billing, maybe someone else can do that, right?
Yeah. And that's a great point. You know, you don't have to have a lot of profit to outsource. So even for my students that are starting out or they're startup entrepreneurs, there's 2 websites I always recommend them. One is internships.com. The other one is genm.com. GENM.com. So internship is pretty self-explanatory. There are thousands of interns all around the world that want to get college credit. Many of them have a basic understanding of social media, marketing, doing tasks. So they'll work for free in exchange for college credit or even experience within a business.
Yeah.
And when I first started, I didn't have a lot of money. I would just go on internship.com and hire interns. And some of them were really good. I ended up hiring them full time. Gen M is something similar, but I think it's like a low cost. I believe it's like $25 a month, and it's a little bit more specific. They have specific interns with specific skill sets. So the point that I'm making is that you could start out with something for free and start to outsource and start to develop documentation. And obviously, as you gain your profits and you have more freedom and more time to spend with your family and to create amazing stuff with your superpower, then you can start to hire people or hire interns.
Right. That's great advice. That's useful. Write that down, everybody.
Yes.
So let's rewind. This is a question I ask all the guests on the podcast, and the goal is just to humanize the guests and try to get some relatability and learn the most powerful things that happened in their life. So I want to ask you about the darkest time in your life, the darkest period of your life. As much as you're comfortable with, tell my audience what happened, what you were struggling with, and how you ended up getting out of that dark time.
Yeah, this is a great question. And I never really shared this story. Maybe I did one seminar, and this would be great for the audience to really understand the power of resilience and persevering through a dark time. So I had mentioned when I hired Chris, you know, all of a sudden I started making good money in my online business started to gain some traction. However, like any business or any endeavor, it has ups and downs. So it was like a good month, a bad month, feast and famine. And I remember it was October. This literally all happened a year before I made that webinar. So just to give you an idea of the context of it. But I remember like I was working on my laptop, and it was just in a place of like, frustration. I mean, I was following everything my mentors were saying, and I was putting out different posts and offers, and I wasn't making a lot of money. It was a really bad month of business. And it was a really just scarcity mindset. And I remember just being full of fear. And I grew up very, very poor. So I have a lot of limiting beliefs about money. And I left the house. It was just one of those days that was kind of blah. And I come back, and next thing I know, my front door is open. And I'm like, this is weird. My front door is open and my lights are on. Did I forget? Was I so absent-minded? And as soon as I opened the door, everything was all over the place and my whole house was ransacked. And I quickly realized I'm being burglarized, So fear hit me. And I'm like, what if they're still inside the house? And I waited a little bit. I started screaming like, hey, is anyone there? It was quiet, but I saw everything just all over the place. Obviously the valuables were all taken. And it was the most traumatizing thing that ever happened to me, because your house is a sacred place. And imagine walking in and someone stealing everything you work so hard for. And it really broke me down, because I was like, man, I was in this place of, trying to figure out this business. Now I got to deal with this burglary. And I had this like, $5,000 cash stash, and I went up to the safe, and that safe was gone too. And I was like, oh my God, these burglars took everything. And I felt so violated, and it would just crush me. And I remember calling my dear friend, Pat, who's a big part of my life. She's like a friend and a coach and a mentor. But I called her really upset, and she's like, don't worry. As long as you're okay, call the police. And, everything kind of was taken care of. And from that point on, I was crushed, and I went on Facebook. I made a post about it. I was just more of like sharing my vulnerability, and everyone was giving support. Of course, I really realized, okay, they stole all my stuff. They didn't steal my work ethic. They didn't steal my mindset. I'm going to make this again. 2 weeks later, I had another soul-crushing incident where basically a business that I had with a friend before I went online, we had a verbal agreement on it, and make a long story short, he embezzled money, and I was put into a position where I lost a large chunk of money. We had no contracts, and a dumb idea by me, and he just pretty much went off on his own, and I was in a worse financial place. That really messed me up. So I'm like below rock bottom, getting worse, and just in this really negative place. And I think sometimes when you have negative things that happen to you, you get in this really, really pessimistic mindset of like, what else is going to happen? And why is everything going down? Why is my world crumbling? So New Year's occurs, and I'm like, all right, New Year's, new life, new me. It's going to be the best year of my life. And I'm so excited. 2 weeks into the new year, on a January 14th, again, same situation. I was working on my laptop. It was a Friday. I was just frustrated, burnt out. I was doing all this work and nothing was working. And all these other people were having success, but not me. I smell smoke. And I'm like, well, I'm not cooking anything. Why is there smoke? And all of a sudden, as I stand up, I see smoke in my ceiling. And I'm like, this is really weird. Never had this happen before. I could feel this heat just coming out of the walls. And I just quickly run upstairs. My office was in the basement, and there's smoke all over the house. And there was like heat radiating from all the walls and doors. And I was like, oh my God, I think there's a fire in my pipes. So again, instinct, freaked out, called 911, the fire department, and get out of the house, your house is on fire. And I walk out of the house, and I just see flames coming out. I'm like, holy cow, I walked out in time. A fire department comes in. My house is on fire. They come with axes and hoses, and they're just chopping everything down, to get to the source of the fire. And I was just crumbled. At that point, the fire department was there. I just fell down on my knees, and I started crying because I'm like, this is the worst life ever. What else is going to happen? Am I going to die of cancer? I got burglarized. I lost all this money now. I had a house fire. And by the time they found the source of the fire, my heating unit had an issue, and My whole house, burned down. They also knocked down everything, watered it down. It was just full of debris. It was destroyed. And again, I called my friend Pat, and this time I was crying. I was like, oh my God, this is the worst life, and I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm devastated. I can't believe this is happening to me. Why is this happening to me? Why is this happening to me? I kept on saying that. And what's next? Am I going to die of cancer? Am I going to get hit by a car? Am I going to have a brain tumor? I was just so negative and so pessimistic. And she consoled me. It was like, this is all a test. Just stay with it. Don't worry. Things are going to get better. You're being tested. A big breakthrough's around the corner. I'm like, yeah. That's what they all say. Everyone says that. But all of this happening within a 3-month time frame, this is disaster. This is the worst. And at that point in time, I called my family, called all my loved ones. And I made another post on Facebook. I vented about it. And all these people came. And my mentor at the time, Joe Polish, who owns a 25K group, he just said, let's hop on a call. Let's work on a solution. And he was like, listen, there's a meeting here 2 weeks from now. Come to Arizona, come to the offices. We'll work out a solution. We'll come up with something for you. And I was like, wow, this guy's so nice. And he's taking time in his busy schedule to help me out. And I make a long story short, like I was just in this crazy funk and depression. I almost didn't want to go to the meeting because I was like, I'm going to be like this depressed mess. My whole life's a mess. I lost all this money. My house burned down. It's like I was so defeated. But at that meeting, it was a life-changing meeting, Andrew. Like going there and being in front of a room of super successful entrepreneurs, people that I look up to, and just being vulnerable and asking for help and on the verge of tears. Like I lost my confidence, and everything I ever worked hard for is gone. I'm starting from like negative, scratch.
Yeah.
And then every single person in that room, from the millionaires to the, multi-hundred-millionaire business owners, every single one of them got up and shared a story of defeat, a story of pain, far worse than mine. People embezzling money from them, a child dying very young. One of them battled for cancer for 20 years. The other one went through a divorce, and their husband, went on the news and said all this negative stuff about them and ruined their reputation. And they all had these rock bottom moments of starting from scratch. And then I had a huge insight. First of all, it humbled me. And I said, well, this ain't that bad compared to, one of your kids dying or having cancer or losing a limb. And then I realized that, like, wow, the higher up the success ladder you go, the more pain you have to tolerate. And from that moment on, I was like, this is happening for me. And I didn't die. I still have my sound mind. I still have my marketing savvy. And I just have this great story that I can share one day with people to turn it around. And then at that meeting, all these people, they have their own masterminds and seminars. And they're like, listen, you just need to have some serious mindset work. So like, come to my mastermind. I'm having a mastermind this day. Come to my seminar. I have this course. Go through this course. I want to coach you for free. We'll get on a call every single week. They were so giving and so helpful. And that's when my whole life turned around, Andrew. From that point on, I was like, wow, all these people care for me. All these people are giving back to me. And within that year's time, it instilled this newfound confidence. And literally, by the end of that year, that's when I did that $1 million seminar, and my whole life changed.
That's incredible. Yeah, I I don't know if I've heard any of those stories. Thank you so much for sharing that. But wow. At the very least, you get a good story, right? That's
what they were saying to me. And again, in my negative, pessimistic mindset, I'm like, there's no way I'm going to be successful after this point. They're like, AJ, I'm so jealous because you got such a good story to share one day. And, now I'm sharing it with you. I think I only did it once at a seminar because it's a lot, and sometimes people are like, holy shit. But then, we all have those points. Again, like everyone you speak to has this extreme rock bottom moment. The darkest sundown creates the brightest sunrise, and it's so true, man. And honestly, since that, I've had worse things happen, of course, but the resilience and understanding that it is true. You always get tested the most before a major breakthrough. So now when bad stuff happens, I'm like, cool, something great's around the corner.
Yeah, I do catch you saying that a lot, that you experience the most resistance right before a major breakthrough. I think that's really true. And I heard a quote somewhere. It was something like, in the struggle is where you actually meet yourself. And gosh, everyone fights their own battles. And it's at your lowest when you actually have no choice, when your back's up against the wall and you have to discover what you're made of and who you are. There's a lot of freedom in that moment too. You know, it's scary, it's terrifying. There's a lot of uncertainty, but like at the same time, you're very powerful because you don't have a lot left to lose and you can basically make any choice. And like the worst case scenario is you're going to stay level. Like in all likelihood, you're going to start climbing back up. But like that's the moment that makes a lot of people. And, you know, a lot of people who are scared to do things and they feel defeated. I think you can miss out on a lot if you don't handle that the right way.
Absolutely, Andrew. And again, I really feel that it's just a universal thing. You know, I think in life and business, there's up cycles and down cycles. And the down cycles of the struggles and the pain and the challenges really show you what you're made out of, right? Because it's easy to be happy and confident and consistent when things are going good, but when things are going bad or you're dealing with a personal issue or, you know, challenges in your life with your family, it's hard to show up every single day. And I'll be transparent with you. This year was one of the most challenging years of my life, right? I went through a lot of personal challenges, a breakup, just a shift in my own identity. And it's been hard. I had serious mental health issues. But to be quite honest, going through that horrible year of that rock bottom point made me realize that it can never get worse than it is now. And I've learned that pain is my path to freedom. So when I'm in a lot of pain and I'm struggling, it's like, oh, it's growing pains. I'm stepping up my identity. It's like the old me is dying away. And sometimes it's hard to get rid of the old me because a new phoenix is rising up from the ashes. So I think my relationship to hardship and challenges and struggles has completely changed because the same things could have happened to me years ago would have devastated me. But now it's like, okay, this is a part of the story when things get bad.
Exactly. Yeah. Life doesn't get easier. You just get stronger. And
yes,
I can relate to that too, man. 2018 was a really hard year for me too. I was diagnosed with adult ADHD.
Wow.
By a bunch of people with letters after their name that, you know, my brain is broken and I tried like 3 different medications and I had these huge ups and downs and, oh yeah, it was a hard year, but it's the end of 2019 now. And there's so many things that I've learned from having gone through that. I learned that I'm actually a very emotional person. I learned that I do struggle with a little bit of social anxiety. And I started reading Stoic philosophy, like crazy. And I've learned so much from reading those books and implementing these meditations and stuff. And I'm a better person because of it. So, I mean, like for people who are going through dark periods, like just know that eventually you'll find your way and you'll be better off for it, right?
Now, Andrew, that's really powerful. Thank you for sharing that. This is like a super vulnerable podcast. I'm curious, did they recommend you take medication or any type of thing for the ADHD?
Yeah, well, it was like a year-long process because I had to switch insurance because I turned 26. So I had to switch psychiatrists. I had 3 different psychiatrists. And the first one wanted me on antidepressants. And we tried Ritalin, and none of those worked. They made me really emotionless. And then the second one wanted me to try Strattera. And Strattera made me a very hateful, angry person. It completely changed my personality. And then the last one had me try Vyvanse, which is an amphetamine. And that drug, I tried it for a month, and it nearly destroyed me, man. I mean, there were days when I would have so much energy and be so focused. I would literally work for 8 hours straight and get more done in 8 hours than I would normally get done in like a week. And then I would crash so hard. One night I just sat in the living room and for 3 hours I held my baby daughter and I just wept. I just wept for no reason. Like my life was okay, but this drug was doing things to my brain. And, you know, I tried meditating. I changed up my diet a bunch. I started training for a half marathon that I ran last month. And I just had to change a lot of things about my lifestyle. And most of the problems were up here. It turned out it was mostly social anxiety. I was caring too much about what other people were thinking and what other people were saying about me and what they were doing. And that compulsive negative thinking was eating away at my ability to focus. It was eating away at my ability to concentrate and have confidence in myself. And so, yeah, a lot of the psychiatrists wanted me on medications, and I tried it for almost a year. And eventually the meditation and running 3 miles a day has really been what's, I feel like, has balanced me out quite a bit.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
profound. Thank you for sharing that. I could
Yeah.
totally relate. I stuttered for the first 20 years of my life, and I was extremely shy and insecure. I had a lot of domestic violence growing up. My father was very abusive, so there was a lot of pain and trauma. So as a kid, I was kind of like mute. And then when I started talking, I would stutter profusely, and I couldn't even talk in school. I was a weird kid. And obviously some of the teachers were concerned, and I had a lot of fear that something's wrong with me. And I developed a lot of social anxiety. And when I got older, I would turn to alcohol, and I would just drink every time I was around people. After alcohol, then it turned into drugs, and I started taking hardcore drugs, cocaine, ecstasy, crystal meth, painkillers. Then it was taking all these drugs in one night, right? Because it was really the fear of what others thought about me, or I wanted to have a social lubricant so I could be cool. So I was on these different stimulants and downers, and that led to, overdoses and obviously a lot of negativity, because the drugs, recreational drugs especially, are the path to destruction. Yeah. And over time, I had a really bad overdose and put me in a coma for 5 days. And then I realized, like, this is all up here. It's all up here. And similar to you, I started to journal, meditate, obviously exercise, and just find healthy outlets to release that overthinking, anxious tendency. And, thankfully, I never had to go on any antidepressants or anti-anxiety medications. And over time, learning how this chattering mind works, controlling the ego, and knowing that the stories that I say about myself are not true, right? And that self-awareness is a game changer.
Yeah, absolutely. That's where the problem is for a lot of people. They associate too heavily with their thoughts, right? Because you want to own your thoughts. But a lot of times your thoughts are just automatic. Your brain's running on circuits. And a lot of the sentences that float by, you didn't consciously create that. Your brain's just running background processes. So sometimes you just got to step back and be like, I'm not actually thinking that. My brain is just thinking that. And just kind of watch the negative thought float by. And that's hard to do. But man, listening to you talk about everything that you've been through is so inspiring. So I hope if you guys are listening to the podcast, or if you're watching this, just take a moment to appreciate AJ and everything he just shared with us, because my house has never burned down. I've never overdosed. And you can do it, you guys. That should be the takeaway from all of this. It's you can do it. People are strong.
Yeah. Like I was saying, it's the higher up the ladder of success you go, and you read people's biographies and autobiographies, you soon find that pain and trauma and struggle is an underlying theme. Mm-hmm. So now I have a different relationship with pain. As I mentioned, it's the tolerance for pain equals success. So someone who's a millionaire, a billionaire, just this crazy level of growth and wealth, they simply have a very, very high pain tolerance. Because whether it's, starting your online business and you create a funnel and it tanks, or you make a video with an offer and no one clicks on it, you're experiencing pain. You're experiencing all this negative thought. And what's one option? Hey, this doesn't work for me. I'm going to work a 9-to-5 job. I'm not meant to be an entrepreneur. But the people that are entrepreneurs, they just have a very high tolerance for pain.
That's a great way to look at it. Yeah, I think that'd be a great way to live your life. Just be like, I got to have a high tolerance for pain. And no matter what happens, I'll get through it.
Just like you said with stoicism, man, I study so much stoicism, and I'm fascinated by the concept. And it is obviously just this unattachment, or this indifference to pain and challenges.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, people haven't changed too much over the last 3,000 years, apparently, because it's still a very relevant philosophy. Mm-hmm. So let's back up a little bit, because I remember you just said something about stuttering, and I have a question here. So I remember you saying that at your seminar. I think you struggled with public speaking. So what is your best advice for people who struggle in the spotlight? How did you overcome that?
Yeah, well, just like anything in life, if you don't use it, you lose it. And I basically found that the only way I could get over my stuttering was I put myself in very uncomfortable situations.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was reading books about communication and becoming a better speaker, in one of the books, it was recommended to do Toastmasters. And if you're not familiar with Toastmasters, it's a nonprofit organization. They have a meeting in about every zip code. If you go to toastmasters.org, it's a free public speaking group, or it's like $13 for the year, low cost.
Mm-hmm.
So how it works is there's a chapter meeting in your zip code. Someone organizes it, and it's a group of people that want to improve their communication skills. So as soon as you go there, you're thrown into the mix of being in front of a room full of people who critique your speech, and they count your ums and ahs, and they give you positive feedback. So every week I would go there and perform in front of these strangers, and there's a 10 speech process. And from the first time I went to the 10th speech, I was a whole different person. It really helped me get rid of my stuttering.
Uh-huh.
Of course, when I get excited or when I'm nervous, I still stutter from time to time, but it's like 99% gone. And I find that by doing videos, putting myself in a situation where I stand up and speak,
Mm-hmm.
I started doing videos. I think it was 2007 to my first video on YouTube. And if you go there, it is horrible. And I had to do 100 takes. I literally did it for like 6-7 hours for a damn 3-minute video. But since then, I've done 1,000 videos. And if people say that you're great on video, you can do it in one shot, it's because I did 1,000. Exactly. Go on my YouTube channel, look at my first one. You'll laugh. I was so nervous. I was so bad. It's hard for me to watch. But you look at my 1,000th video, and it's like, this guy's pretty comfortable and calm on camera.
Yep. That's like my first video, the one I just talked about earlier, when I went to Lake Medina early in the morning. It probably took me 3 hours to get that take. And I think I'm almost at 200 videos on my channel. But yeah, I mean,
even though I'm sorry, I just remember that video was just so emotionally powerful, and it got a ton of engagement. It would be great for you to share it, with your audience, to show them like, this is my first video, and to see how much you've progressed to the 200th video.
Yeah, I think it's still up on the channel, and it should still be on my Facebook page. But yeah, it got like 5,000 views on Facebook, and at the time I only had like 800 friends.
I remember that.
Sharing it.
That's tremendous. Yeah, I shared it into our group as an example. Like, wow, Andrew's video is killing it. And, it's great to see that because, I'm sure before you filmed it, you had no idea that it would reach 5,000 people. Yeah, and that is a lot, like imagine a room full of 5,000 people.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's just a powerful process, man, because public speaking, filming videos, even like podcasting right now. I'm still not the best podcast interviewer. Like, I think you're my 5th interview, but like every time I do it, I get a little bit better, and I get better at
You're pretty damn good.
I get better at making the conversation flow and connecting with people. Sometimes people I've never met before. But the great thing about all of this and the practice, and I feel like this relates back to what we just said about getting out of the darkest moment in your life, is like all of the reps that you do. All of the times where it's not that good, where you suffer a little bit, where there's pain, you learn more about who you are, and you start to find your voice. And like, you start to believe more in the person that you think you are, because you've proven it, like through all these difficult moments, like that video wasn't good, but like, look at me now. Like, because of that whole process, like, I feel like I'm more connected to who I am as a person. And that's really powerful.
Yeah, you made such a great point, finding your voice. And sometimes it'll take you 100 videos, 100 podcasts, 100 posts, emails, blogs. And that's the thing. And one thing I'll give it to you, Andrew, is like, you're far ahead of me at the 3-year mark because, even my 5th podcast episode, I was horrible. I remember I interviewed someone, and they talked the whole time, and I just got like 2 words in, and I was like, I didn't stop them. And, these little nuances you learn, and you're doing far better than you think you are, just to let you know that.
Well, I appreciate that. We're all running 1,000 different races, and we're ahead of people in some and way behind in others. But yeah, it is a powerful process. And I've come to love the growth that comes from doing all these new things.
Growing pains.
Yeah. So So I do have a lot of entrepreneurs in my audience. Let's get a little technical. Right now, do you have a favorite type of funnel that is producing results for you?
Yeah, I will honestly say that my favorite type of funnel is my live event funnel. And, I started doing seminars about 10 years ago. It was kind of in a place of, even when I had a weight loss business, I was doing like weight loss seminars and getting people to show up. And many of them were just like free, just getting my clients and their friends to come, and I would sell at the end of it. And since then, I've really been at a consistent pace. Now I'm doing a seminar like every 6 weeks. So I find that the live event funnel is probably the most evergreen funnel. It'll work 100 years from now. Who knows if webinars or chat box or Facebook ads, if they're going to stand the test of time. But far before I existed, people were doing seminars. Even the Stoicism was probably taught at a seminar. Someone was talking about
Stoicism.
Yeah.
The root of the word Stoicism. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but this is too perfect. Comes from the Greek word stoa, which means porch, because the original Stoic philosophers used to teach from their porch to crowds.
Yes. There you go. And, I've, like I said, ran Facebook marketing since 2012. And, I've spent millions on Facebook ads. And I think that even that has shifted tremendously from when I started.
Yeah.
However, getting a group of people together in one room, sharing your passion, having the immersive process of transformation, and even making an offer to them will blow away any online funnel, in my personal opinion and from my experience. And I've seen in my students as well, because now I'm coaching many of my students to host their own events, and I say, listen, just do a free one-time event and you'll be surprised about how many people show up, because again, we are leaving the information age, going into the transformation age, and people are so skeptical. But when they come in person, it's your ability to connect, to be authentic. And, the buying temperature is super high, because we've all been at seminars and we go there going in for inspiration. Next thing you know, we're putting our credit card up and we're buying because there's a higher level of trust and connection. And, selling face-to-face to one-to-many is the most powerful way to sell. And there's a reason why, Tony Robbins is the OG in the coaching industry. I think he's been doing it for 40 years now. And there's a reason why he still does seminars. I think he does a seminar a week, and it's, in my personal opinion, the best funnel. And it's actually something that I'm now working on, helping people to set up their own live events, right? How to fill the event, how to structure your talk, have a transformational experience, and also how to sell in a non-douchey way, being in a position where you're selling in a very ethical manner and you're not pressuring people.
Yeah, we might have to talk about that, because I have a bucket list hanging on the wall around this corner over here, and I've got host a live event on there. That's big goals coming up. I mean, it's like we said earlier. We keep going back to everything we're saying because it's just so much truth in this interview. But it's the human touch. You can't beat a live in-person event when it comes to building that human connection. So I like that. That's a good response. I think a lot of people are going to be surprised.
Yeah, dude, happy to help you. And I feel like I said, just with a simple post, you'll be surprised how many people want to show up. And, seminars are like kind of like crack without the side effects, because every one of my students who I recommended, they had a lot of resistance. Who's going to show up? What am I going to talk about? What if they don't buy anything? There's so much fear that comes to it. But once they do it, they do another one and another one, and it gets easier. After doing 40 of them myself, each one gets so much easier. I have one literally 2 days from now, and I'm not nervous. I'm excited, and it's literally like my favorite thing to do.
Yeah, exactly. Find your voice. Listen, if you guys are listening to this, I know that you have something in the back of your head that you've been thinking about starting. There's a project you want to work on. There's a new program you want to launch. Just do it. Just start it. Get it moving. Get the first couple out of the way. You're going to learn so much you won't believe it. And then, a year from now, you're going to be so happy because you've made so much progress. You've learned all this stuff and things are working. It just works. It just works.
That's right.
All right. So we've got a few more questions here. I want to ask you, do you think that everyone should at some point in their lives hire a coach of some type? And why do you think coaching is so effective at getting people results?
Absolutely. I wish I hired a coach sooner. I think it was
Me too.
the dumbest thing for me to put it off for so long, because I was always a very independent.
Mhm.
I would read so many books and I would watch so many videos and go to people's email lists. I was like a hoarder of free information, but that put me into analysis paralysis, where I had so much information, but I didn't know which direction to go or what to do. It wasn't until I hired my first coach in 2009 that my whole life changed. You know, it was the biggest investment I made at the time. And hiring him simplified my life. And one of the first things that he said was like, AJ, you have so much information, but you're not taking action. You know, forget everything you know, and just do these three things, these three action steps. And after you do these three things, come on the next call, I'll give you another three things. And I was like, really? That's it? You just want me to do these three things? And at the time it sounded way too simple because I had so much information in my mind, but I was paralyzed because I didn't know what to do. And after doing those three things and those simple steps and fundamentals, I started gaining traction. I started gaining confidence. And I was like, whoa, that's why I never made it, because I was trying to read more books, watch more videos, fill up myself with more information, but I wasn't taking action. And from that first investment, I've always had a coach, even till this day. You know, the investment for the coaches went a lot higher. You know, I'm part of different masterminds, hire different coaches. But honestly, for me personally, if I don't have a coach, I become stagnant. I get comfortable. And just the mere investment in myself, I realize that the more that I pay, the more that I pay attention.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Coaches are powerful too, because they see everything from the outside. Like all we have are these eyeballs, right? And like everything that we see and think, it has to pass through all these filters we have, like emotional filters, logical filters, experiential filters, expectational filters. And the coach can just like see you and what you're trying to do, and he doesn't have to look at all those filters.
Yeah.
Yeah. And sometimes like what you need to do is actually so much more simple than you think.
Exactly. Great point, Andrew. It's just having that bird's eye view and the non-emotional insight. Because I sometimes get into a story. Let's just say, for example, I put out a series of Facebook ads and they're not doing well. So I could create this elaborate story in my head of like, oh my God, the marketplace doesn't like me. My offer doesn't work anymore. I got to change my whole business model. I could create this crazy, emotional story. And that coach could be like, hey, have you checked the landing page if it's even collecting information? And like something that dumb that like I didn't do, then I go, oh my God, like that's why it's not working. You know, this damn page, I didn't connect to my email autoresponder, you know? It's something that simple that I could have spent weeks and weeks and weeks hitting my head against the wall, but I would have never caught it.
Yep. That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
So what are some of the most important qualities that you think a person who's looking to hire a coach should look for in that coach? So any kind, like a fitness coach, business coach, if you're hiring someone for leadership to help you get a result, what kind of things should you look for?
First and foremost, be coachable, right? If you're going to hire someone, only focus on what they tell you and close off any other information. Because I've seen people that hired me as a coach, but they also had other mentors, and sometimes coaches give you conflicting information. So I always say, just work with one person and follow everything they do to a T. You know, if they have a course, watch all their videos, take action, ask questions. If you're stuck, reach out for help. So it's like, sometimes like I'll get invited to a seminar for free, right? Or, you know, and I can see other people that were invited for free and they could be like, oh, just kind of not paying attention or being on their phones, because most people don't value free. And I always have this mindset of like, okay, I'm going to pretend like this is $1 million seminar. Like I came to this and I paid $1 million to be here. How would I act differently? I always sit in the front. I love to be fully engaged. I turn my phone off. And when we're working with a coach, it's the same thing. I devour all their information. I binge watch their membership portal. I'm inside the group. I'm asking questions. I'm asking for help. I never miss a coaching call. I never miss a workshop, because one, the more coachable that I am, the more that I attract people that are coachable as well, right? Because, you know, I would never, to me, it's a waste of money to hire someone and not follow their information.
Yeah. Yeah. That's powerful advice. I love how you flip that. Like, what should you look for in your coach? Like, you need to be coachable.
Yeah.
That's so true though. Yeah. A lot of people, I know people who hire a coach and they'll message me and they'll be like, man, he told me to do this, but like, what if I did this? Like, what do you think? It's like, no, like, do what he's telling you. Like, he has a plan. Try it. Just try it, see what happens.
Yeah, exactly. Try it. And if you follow it exactly to a T, you tell the coach, like, listen, I did this exactly to a T. It didn't work. And then they could fine tune it, or they could be like, you know what? Do it this way, right? And that slight adjustment can make all the difference, as opposed to doing it your own way, failing, blaming the coach or blaming what obviously the system when you didn't do it 100% to the T.
Yeah. Yeah. The path to success in anything, whether it's fitness or business or relationships, it's never a straight line. It's just a bunch of course corrections. And like the point of hiring a coach is just to like make the course corrections shorter, you know, or fewer. And you just have to trust the process.
Yeah, and a great example is John Wooden. You know, if you know, he's the most winningest coach of all of history. He's a famous UCLA collegiate basketball coach, and he wrote a lot of great books, and he's got also great videos and you know, quotes on the internet. And he's a big preacher in the fundamentals. And he would take these amazing athletes that were the best in their state, and they would come and they're cocky, you know, very arrogant, you know, like, listen, all right, tell me the high level stuff. Tell me what did you do to make it to the NBA? And he would be like, all right, we have to practice dribbling, practice free throws, like the super fundamental stuff you would learn in like elementary school basketball. But he was so focused on the fundamentals, and because of those fundamentals, he had the most winningest record. I think he coached Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and many of the greats, and they all go back and say John Wooden was the best coach I ever had. And I realized that with business, a lot of times it is the fundamentals, right? And in online business, it's the three fundamentals: the attraction model, the sales model, and the service model. And oftentimes we get so, you know, inundated with complex information, advanced funnels, shiny objects, softwares, apps, bots, where we're not even doing the fundamental things that will take us to the next level. You know, stop looking for the complexity, focus on the simplicity.
Yep. I totally agree. Yeah. The foundations: have an offer, understand who it serves and how, find those people, convert them, and then take care of them. That's it. You know, once you have that mapped out, you can decide what funnel you want to use. You want to go with a messenger bot, all that, the other stuff comes later. A lot of people, you know, with everything in their life, they just need to understand the fundamentals and then go from there.
Simplify to multiply.
Yep. Perfect. All right. Well, we got our last two questions. These are two of my favorite questions. So the first one is, years and years from now, AJ, 50 years, 100 years from now, you are a pile of bones 6 feet underground. What do you want people who are still alive, who once knew you, to say about you and what you did here? What's the impact that you want to have?
Great question. And, you know, thinking about the impact I want to make, I think the one focus that has helped me throughout my whole life is the power of communication. And I find that mastering communication is what I recommend for people that want to be successful, that want to change the world, that want to serve at the highest level. And if you think about all the greats in history, they were master communicators, whether it was the Buddha, Jesus, Martin Luther King, Gandhi. I'm not going to talk about the presidents to get political, but you could have some ideas on that. Yeah. So they had the ability to use language and move the masses. So there's that like macro level of communication and also micro communication, where if I have a great communication with my loved ones, then our relationship grows closer. If I'm depressed and I talk to someone, I vent, I feel better, right? The opposite of depression is expression. And I always find that you cannot heal what you don't reveal. So communication has changed my life, not just from business, understanding the marketing communication to attract clients, how to sell on a way that shows my value, and also coaching in a really powerful model of communicating people their own greatness and seeing a vision before they see them within themselves. So I have found being this shy, insecure, stuttering, chubby kid to becoming a person who hosts his own seminars that could go on social media and create videos and communicate to people that change their lives. And now when I'm helping people with seminars, I want to just be a person who teaches people how to become better communicators, you know, and whether it's having a very authentic conversation with someone you love, or it's getting in front of a crowd and sharing your passion and moving them into inspiration, inspiring them into action. So I find that my life is just dedicated towards mastering my own communication and helping others really learn the art of that.
I really like that. I really mean that. I like that a lot. That's a pleasing response because it's something that's like tangible. Like I can really understand the value in what you just said. It's not like some vague idealistic claim. It's like so simple, but it's so true. It's like the better you can communicate, more clarity you can give other people. And when you communicate clearly with others, you get more clarity. And when you have clarity about your life, there's fewer problems. I'm like, that's it right there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is a communication vehicle right here, right? We're communicating, we're having a great conversation. Other people are listening in, and at the same time, they're taking nuggets, right? Because, you know, that's kind of been the theme of this as well, of like your first video to your 100th video. And all you're doing is becoming a better communicator in that process.
Exactly. Love it. All right. So the floor is yours, my man, AJ. Tell my audience where they can find you, where they can follow you, and what kinds of projects and services and programs you got going on. Tell my people what you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. So my most active social media is my Instagram, and it's pretty simple. Instagram.com/AJ Mihrzad. And if you just write AJ MIH, you'll find me because no one else has my last name. And on Facebook, it's facebook.com/AJ Fit, AJ FIT. And also have a course. It's a free course for people that want to master their communication and really get the fundamentals of growing their online business. So it provides you with everything from the marketing systems, how to attract your clients, an actual sales script on how to sell high ticket services, and also different ways of serving your clients, different modalities. And it's a free course. You can go to my website. It's onlinesupercoach.com/start and sign up in the free course. And a bunch of people have made a few $1,000s. Their first few $1,000s online was with all the free stuff. And it's just a lot of templates. It's a way of giving back, adding value, and just pushing out of your comfort zone.
Love it. Love it. And do you have any live events coming up too?
Yes, I have one this weekend. You know, I'm really grateful to live in a house that I could host people, and I host events here every 6 weeks. So I have a private mastermind at my house, and on my Instagram, on the bio, it has a list of events. You know, I typically host one every few months. So I would love to have you at one of my events, and actually a lot of them are free because, you know, I just love helping people. And I've had upwards of 70 people in my living room come to one of my free seminars, and I just love serving. So if someone's listening and they want to come to one of my events, awesome people come in. You know, Andrew could attest to that. You know, last year when he came to my seminar, he made lifelong bros. Shout out to Jason and TW. Yeah. And that's the whole thing. You know, I would love to see you and give you a big hug and meet you.
Yeah. Well, I would encourage all of you listening who are thinking about doing this to do it. I can vouch for AJ. He's taught me so much over the years. His events are great. He's got wonderful content out there. So please go check him out. Give him a follow. And I just want to say one more time, AJ, thank you so much for giving me your time today, for coming on the show, being vulnerable, sharing all this with us. We appreciate you.
Appreciate you, brother. Thank you so much.
All right. I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. Go follow AJ. I will see you in the next episode of the Seeking Clear podcast. Take care, everybody. Thank you so much for watching this episode of the Seeking Clear podcast. I truly hope you enjoyed it. If you enjoyed this podcast and you want more of it, you can watch it on the YouTube channel over at Andrew Wuellner, and you can also listen to it on the major podcasting platforms, anywhere podcasts are found. You can support the channel by subscribing to the YouTube channel, downloading it, sharing it, showing it to your friends. All of that is greatly appreciated. I love the support. It shows me that you guys are getting something from this podcast, and I will continue to do it as long as that is the case. But if subscribing or sharing doesn't feel like enough for you and you want to do more to support the channel, you can go to my website, andrewwuellner.com, and check out what I do, what I offer, see if you might be a good fit for one of my coaching programs or my courses. And you can also go to andrewwuellner.com/resources to see all of my special offers. On this page, I have links that will take you to some of my favorite products and services that I personally use, that I personally love, and I would highly recommend you guys use in your lives. to help you improve your quality of life or your quality of business. For example, if you are an entrepreneur or a business owner who sells a service or a product online, you need to be using sales funnels. And if you're using sales funnels, you need to be using ClickFunnels, because ClickFunnels allows you to build the largest number of high quality funnels. You can build websites, membership sites, webinars, VSLs, opt-in pages. All of it's possible, and it integrates with all of your favorite technology, your payment processors, your autoresponders, Zapier, everything. The customer service is second to none, and ClickFunnels has a perfect track record of being an amazing software. In fact, my entire website, andrewwuellner.com, is built on ClickFunnels. So if you want to see what it can do, just look around my website. I've used just about every integration that's possible. But if you go to andrewwuellner.com/resources, you will see a link for a free 14-day trial of ClickFunnels. If you join using my link, it supports me, it supports the channel, and I will also support you by sending you free to download my very best templates from my own marketing campaigns, including webinar funnels, homepage funnels, and opt-in lead generation funnels. I will also give you a free 5 to 10 minute video audit of your website and funnels when they're done. This is normally something I only do with my one-to-one paying clients. But if you use my affiliate link, you build some funnels, you build your website, all you have to do is email me, send me the link. I will see that you are one of my affiliates, and I will check out your branding, your copywriting. I'll look at your funnel, I'll look at your website, and I will film a video and send it back to you and let you know exactly what I think, what you can improve, what I love. And I will do everything I can to support you and your online business, because you guys are supporting me and I appreciate you that much. So please subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much for sharing, for watching this podcast. Go to andrewwuellner.com/resources to see more ways that you can help support me and improve your own life. And I will see you guys in the next episode of the Seeking Clear podcast. Take care.